The humid air of Bangkok clung to me, a familiar embrace after months away. I'm Mark, 30 years old, and my life, usually a well-ordered series of spreadsheets and international flights for my remote-friendly job near London, had taken a decidedly chaotic turn. I wasn't the kind of guy who chased thrills, yet here I was, entangled in a situation far wilder than any travel brochure could ever promise. You hear stories, of course, tales from exotic lands, but none quite mirrored the bewildering saga that was about to unfold. For over a year, my travels had frequently led me back to Thailand, a country that had become an unexpected addiction. It was on one of these trips that I met Jasmine. It wasn't in some neon-lit bar, but on the throbbing dance floor of a Bangkok nightclub. We moved with the music, two strangers caught in the rhythm, and soon we were sharing a quiet table, drinks in hand. She was captivating, her English surprisingly good, and she never once hinted at expecting anything from me. I'd been around long enough to suspect she worked in the city's infamous nightlife, but her genuine demeanour was a refreshing change from the usual transactional encounters. She eventually excused herself, simply offering her contact and a casual, "Text me." No demands, no lingering expectations. The next night, we went on a proper date. She was up front, revealing she worked at a go-go bar, had a young son and hailed from Chiang Mai. Every logical part of me screamed to walk away. I was honest, telling her I wasn't looking for anything serious. My journey continued through Thailand, the serene beaches of Krabi, the bustling markets of Phuket, and hidden villages off the tourist trail. But a magnetic pull kept drawing me back to Bangkok, and inevitably back to Jasmine. Despite my initial resolve, I secretly yearned to see her again. We reconnected at the same nightclub, the air thick with unspoken desires. We talked, we danced, and then we left together. One thing led to another, and a strange, undefined relationship began to blossom. Her raw honesty was disarming, a stark contrast to the veiled truths I'd encountered with other women in her profession. I found myself feeling a profound pity for her situation, a dangerous inclination to save her from a life I didn't understand. But common sense, as it often does, eventually caught up. I couldn't commit to a relationship with someone working in a go-go bar. When I told her, she surprised me with an immediate offer to quit. I was skeptical, yet hopeful. For the next month, we were inseparable, exploring Bangkok, laughing and falling, against my better judgment, deeply in love. I even met her family in Chiang Mai, a brief but warm encounter. But eventually, duty called, and I had to return to London for 6 weeks, promising to come back. As the distance grew, so did the doubts. The intoxicating allure of Thailand began to fade, replaced by nagging questions. Could someone as beautiful as Jasmine truly fall for me so quickly? My research began, and I stumbled upon online forums and channels detailing the intricate dance of relationships with Thai bar workers. Story after story echoed my own, a chilling realization that I might be a pawn in a carefully orchestrated long-term game. I devised a test. Creating a fake messaging account, I posed as a former client she had mentioned. She took the bait, eagerly agreeing to meet and even travel with this fictitious admirer. My heart sank, yet a part of me wasn't surprised. I ended things, feeling a strange mix of relief and disappointment that I hadn't been financially exploited. She blocked me, a clear sign she wanted nothing more to do with me. 6 weeks later, I was back in Thailand, diving headfirst into the nightlife, though still avoiding the go-go bars. I met other women, but a part of me still yearned for Jasmine. I was brutally honest with them, admitting my lingering feelings. And in turn, they offered glimpses into their world, a stark contrast to my Western ideals. It became clear, my inability to financially support Jasmine meant she couldn't simply abandon her profession. I couldn't blame her. She had a son to support. Time blurred as I continued my cycle of travel and work. Thailand, specifically Bangkok, had become an irresistible pull. I saw Jasmine again, after an initial, predictably dramatic and drunken reunion. We slowly began to reconnect. She was open about returning to her bar work and even admitted to having new regular clients. I respected her honesty, even as we slid back into our complex arrangement. The initial spark had dimmed, but my care for her remained. I asked her if she could truly leave the bar behind, promising to support her if she did. She eagerly agreed. I knew it was risky, but I had to see if a genuine connection could truly flourish. I set a reasonable financial commitment, but my trust was fragile. I asked her to sever all ties with her past clients, to create new accounts, to symbolically erase that part of her life. She hesitated, but eventually agreed, even creating a new messaging account, though I suspected she had another phone. Whenever I was in Thailand, she stayed with me. When I returned to London, she'd go back to Chiang Mai, our agreed-upon arrangement. Video calls became our bridge, her showing me her home, her family. But the distance, coupled with my persistent doubts, gnawed at me. I realized it was a losing battle. Upon my return to Bangkok, I arranged to meet Jasmine to retrieve my belongings. I resisted her pleas to spend more time together, but something shifted within me. Despite all the other women, I couldn't deny my profound attraction to her. Then a revelation. I gained access to her new messaging account and discovered, to my astonishment, that during the time I was supporting her, she had genuinely cut off all contact with her past clients. She had been honest. She was trying to change. We spent more time together, and she asked if I would visit her family again. Against my better judgment, I agreed, knowing she was eager to show off her Farang boyfriend. This is where my story takes a truly chilling turn. After an overnight bus journey to Chiang Mai, we arrived at her family home, sharing a quick breakfast before collapsing into sleep. I awoke to a cacophony of shouts outside, a common sound in rural Thailand. But Jasmine jolted upright, rushing out of the room with a look of pure terror. Sensing trouble, I quickly dressed, staying put. A moment later, the door burst open and a hulking Thai man lunged at me, pushing me hard in the face. It was Jasmine's ex-husband. Dazed, I scrambled to my feet as half of Jasmine's family, along with Jasmine herself, flooded into the room. He bellowed at me in Thai, words like "my wife" and "Muay Thai" cutting through the air. The message was unmistakable. I was in profound danger. I'm not a fighter, and I was acutely aware of my vulnerability. Alone, in a foreign land where I barely spoke the language, I knew backing down was my only option. I'd learned that in Thailand, when a Farang is involved, locals often band together. I kept my gaze lowered, slowly backing out of the room. As I looked up, I saw Jasmine's family fiercely arguing with him, and then a stunning blow. Jasmine herself landed a powerful punch squarely on his face. These Thai women, I realized, were not to be underestimated. A family member quickly shuffled me out of the house, away from the escalating chaos. I could still hear the shouts echoing from inside. About 30 minutes later, a family friend arrived with a car, whisking us away. Jasmine was trembling, consumed by a fierce anger. I knew better than to ask questions immediately. All I wanted was to get out of there and back to Bangkok. The problem? All our belongings were still at her family's house. Once her ex was gone, we cautiously returned, gathered our things, and left for a hotel in the city, making sure no one knew our location. Someone had clearly tipped him off about my presence. I later learned he had arrived during what he claimed was a family celebration, an excuse to see his son. But from what I gathered, he rarely had anything to do with their child. It seemed more likely that someone in the family had told him his ex-wife had brought home a foreigner. Jasmine had always maintained their marriage was never officially registered, just a country wedding, whatever that meant. They'd split years ago after his infidelity, his constant cheating eventually driving her away. Upon our return to the house, we discovered Jasmine's phone was missing. During the chaotic confrontation, we assumed it had been knocked off somewhere. I tried calling it repeatedly, but there was no answer. Later, a text arrived from her phone, poorly written English, accusing her of being a liar and greedy, claiming she had been with him while I was in London. The number then went dead. I never heard from him again. When I confronted Jasmine, she vehemently denied his accusations, insisting her version of events was true. They were long separated, and he was simply jealous. I tended to believe her. The incident, though brief, left a deep scar. The raw aggression, the unexpected violence. It shook my very perception of safety. I'd always prided myself on being adaptable, on navigating different cultures with respect and caution. But this was a primal, unpredictable force I hadn't accounted for. Jasmine, too, was rattled. The initial surge of adrenaline gave way to a quiet despair, a silent acknowledgement of the fractured reality of her past. We stayed in that hotel in Bangkok for a few days, a self-imposed exile, constantly looking over our shoulders. Every unfamiliar face, every loud voice sent a jolt of anxiety through me. I kept urging Jasmine to tell me more, to explain the depths of her ex-husband's rage. She reiterated her story, a toxic mix of jealousy, unresolved feelings, and perhaps a twisted sense of ownership. She swore on her son's life that she hadn't been with him while I was away. I wanted to believe her, desperately. Her tearful pleas, her seemingly genuine remorse, they chipped away at my skepticism. But the seed of doubt once planted is hard to uproot. Was it possible that the entire family was in on some elaborate charade, a performance designed to elicit my sympathy, perhaps even my financial generosity, to rescue Jasmine from this manufactured drama? The thought was chilling, a stark reminder of the stories I'd devoured online about the darker underbelly of some relationships in Thailand. His bizarre text message, with its accusations of her infidelity and greed, could it have been a double bluff, a tactic to further muddy the waters, to make her appear more vulnerable, and me, the unwitting saviour?
The question swirled, relentless. Could I ever truly trust her? Could I ever feel safe returning to her family home? A place that had so quickly transformed from a haven to a battleground. The image of her ex-husband's enraged face, his menacing words, they were burned into my memory. Was he a fleeting threat, fueled by momentary anger, or a persistent danger lurking in the shadows of her past? Despite the turmoil, my feelings for Jasmine persisted. It was a maddening contradiction. My logic screamed to run, to sever all ties and retreat to the safety of my predictable life in London. But my heart, foolish and stubborn, clung to the hope of a genuine connection, a bond that transcended the complexities of her world. I knew, intellectually, that relationships built on such volatile foundations rarely prosper. Yet, there was something about Jasmine, a raw authenticity beneath the layers of her challenging life that continued to draw me in. As the days turned into weeks, the immediate fear subsided, replaced by a dull ache of uncertainty. The allure of Thailand, once so intoxicating, now felt tainted by a shadow of unease. I was caught in a current, pulled between the rational desire for self-preservation and the irrational pull of an enigmatic woman. My story, once a personal anecdote, now felt like a cautionary tale, a raw, unvarnished glimpse into the intricate and often perilous dance between two vastly different worlds. I knew I had to make a choice, a decision that would define not just my future with Jasmine, but perhaps my very understanding of love and trust in this unpredictable world.